Last night we showed you the potential fire dangers of that colored powder that's often used these days at races as well as at some concerts.
But we also wondered, how safe are these powders to breathe? Consumer investigator Jennifer Krause had some testing done by scientists at MTSU, so how concerned should we really be?
Well, race organizers and promoters use words like safe and non-toxic when they describe the powders they use at these runs. But our investigation raises serious questions about these claims. When you do one of these color runs,
I got blasted with blood.
it seems the thinking goes, the more powder you can get all over yourself, the better.
Is this what you signed up for?
It is what we signed up for.
Absolutely. Runners are pelted with color along the course.
It makes people look like human rainbows.
When the bass drops, you feel the color, all right?
And both before and after these races, runners all throw powder into the air at the same time to create these giant clouds.
Did you open your eyes? It was so yellow.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a lung doctor who would advocate that.
But doctors say even a small amount of this powder can cause breathing problems for anyone with asthma or other lung issues, as well as young children whose lungs aren't fully developed. But it's the thick clouds of this fine powder that really concern Dr. Brian Chrisman.
That's a lot of particulate to be exposed to.
A lung specialist at Vanderbilt who also serves on the American Lung Association's Scientific Advisory Board. Chrisman says breathing in this much powder can be hazardous for just about everyone.
Those particles can be in there for quite a while in your lungs. Some of these tinier particles can get absorbed. They get taken up into the lymphatics in the bloodstream.
Race promoters do warn that the powder can cause things like skin irritation and vision problems, and many suggest runners use a bandana or dust mask.
And we did see millions of those particles.
But scientists say many of the particles in these powders are so tiny they go right through a bandana.
Particles that are smaller than 2.5 microns.
Dr. Sing Chong, an analytic chemist at MTSU, and Joyce Miller, manager of the university's Imaging Center, agreed to analyze nearly a dozen samples of colored powder for us.
And so you can look at the distribution of the size of the particles.
By magnifying the powder some 2,000 times, you can see the tiny particles in most of the powders look like small, smooth pebbles. But this pink powder was filled with sharp, jagged edges.
That consists of very thin flakes and, very elongated needle-like structures.
That Dr. Chong told us could easily get lodged in the lungs and cause damage. According to various color run websites, the colored powder they use is simply dyed cornstarch. And MTSU's analysis found many of our samples did have the same chemical makeup as cornstarch or pancake mix. But one of the pink powders we tested
Certainly is not pancake mix, it's something else.
most closely matched the chemical composition of, believe it or not, Decon rat killer, which also was one of the top matches for one of the green powders we had analyzed. That closely resembles, at least, rat killer. Rat poison.
Correct.
But Dr. Chong cautions further testing is needed. And even the powders that did appear to be cornstarch, Dr. Chong says were concerning. He says he found solvents in all the samples.
Solvents typically are highly volatile, very volatile, and they have low flash point.
Which might explain, he says, why our fire testing found these powders ignite rather easily. Wow. And all the powders tested also had compounds known to cause cancer, as well as various metals not usually found in cornstarch. Cobalt.
Cobalt, yes.
And what was that doing in there?
That's a good question.
All of these questions now lead some to wonder whether we really know enough about these powders.
Until we have more analysis, I'm a little more concerned.
And some wonder if we should stop throwing caution to the wind. Right now, these powders are not regulated in the U.S., nor has there been any sort of formal testing, but the folks we talked to say based on these findings, there should be. And we should stress that these are preliminary results we got from MTSU. Dr. Chong tells me he plans to continue to test and analyze these powders, and when we get those findings, we of course will share them.
All right, thanks so much, Jennifer. And if you missed the first part of our investigation, which showed how easily these powders burn, you can watch it online on our website.